interrupt our program to bring you a special broadcast.
Boom! Headshot!
Hey, it's Clay. How's everybody doing? I got another Battlefield 3 video for you today, and this was actually a couple of TDM matches I played on Strike at Karkin, the map, Strike at Karkin, from the Back to Karkin expansion pack. And actually, I was having a ton of fun in this TDM game. That's the first thing I want to talk about is Battlefield 3 in Team Deathmatch is actually really good. It plays really well, and it's super fun. Much more so than I had even expected. You know, because when you talk about Battlefield, a lot of times you're pretty much talking about Conquest and Rush. I mean, those are the two heavy hitters in terms of Battlefield. And there's no denying that. I'm a big Rush fan. I enjoy Conquest in certain situations on certain maps, but definitely a really big Rush fan. I think the game just plays fantastic. But TDM gets really overlooked, and with the Armored Kill DLC, I did not buy it. But one of the things that I've heard a lot of people say is that TDM plays really well, which actually is kind of surprising. It's definitely made for Conquest, but hearing that TDM plays so well kind of got me thinking, like maybe I should branch out a little bit. You can get a little bit more kind of fast-paced, high-action gameplay. I got a ton of kills right there in that little sequence. And we're playing on Strike at Karkin. This isn't Metro, this isn't Bazaar, and you kind of one thing that I really like about TDM specifically on this map is that there's a lot of variety in terms of lines of sight. You've got these kind of 3 or 4 roads where you have really long alleyways, and if you're I'm sniping here with the M40, just using the straight pole bolt and my favorite square holographic. You can just absolutely destroy down these lanes if you want, if you're good with a long-range shot. But then you can also get into some of these little crevices and corridors, and you can get some really fast-paced, close-up action as well. So I really, really enjoy it from a variety standpoint. I'm gonna get pooped on here. Well done, sir. You beat me at my own game. How did that not hit? Oh, there we go. But anyways, yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with TDM. Not definitely something that I expected, but like I said before, it's this kind of year where you start branching out and doing some different things than you usually do, and I think TDM is pretty sweet. I've played Nose Hair Canals. It's pretty fun, but I think I am really enjoying playing on this map, and will definitely give it more of a chance in the future. Yeah, TDM is pretty sweet. Give it a thumbs up. Unexpected thumbs up from me. But here's what I really want to talk about. Not just TDM, but I want to talk about Suppression. Battlefield 3 and the Suppression mechanic. Kind of give it a bit of a review. So, Suppression was, I think, one of the more interesting, intriguing elements of Battlefield 3 when you were first hearing about it before it launched. This brand new mechanic where, if you're being fired at, you're going to be suppressed. It was to promote teamwork. It was to, kind of give you an incentive to, make it a little more realistic, a little bit more immersive, kind of improve the overall experience. And it definitely does that. I mean, in terms of team play, it's very true. If you have, a guy playing support and he's watching an alleyway with a machine gun, that definitely benefits the rest of your team. So it's good in that mechanic, but here's the thing that I really want to talk about and press, with some substantial opinion. I have a strong opinion on this, and that is that, especially as a recon player, I think Suppression is really annoying. And I think that it's annoying because it totally randomizes your shot, your spread. You have no idea where the bullet's going to go, and it introduces randomness. And I think randomness is in direct polar opposition to skill. I think that, if you're a skillful player, you can, predict recoil. Sure, make guns with lots of recoil, but make it predictable, so that if you're a skilled player, you can account for it. And, if I'm going to use a sniper rifle, these guns are all about precision. I mean, it's insane how important it is to be precise with your shot. But with Suppression, pretty much you're left unarmed. Are you getting heavily suppressed? You're pretty much left completely unarmed, to the point where it makes it almost impossible to actually be effective, especially if the game mode, like something like a 64-man servers, with Rush on some of the tighter maps, it just gets completely unplayable because there's always some sort of bullet or explosion happening, and you're just never going to be on target. And honestly, I think that, the counter-argument to this is that it takes skill to be unsuppressed, or that you suppress first. That it takes skill to get yourself into a position where you're not suppressed and you're able to get shots off. Or shots on. So it's true. It takes skill to get yourself into a position where you're not suppressed. But at the same time, I always want to press and reward players for good aim. I think that should always be, important. And make it difficult. Keep an element of suppression in the game. And make it difficult, make it challenging. But don't make it random. I know that Call of Duty gets a bad rap, but I think that they do a pretty decent job. When you're getting shot at, your screen goes all blurry, your guy starts freaking out, you lose hearing, your vision is obscured. But at the same time, if you aim your gun in the right place, it will still shoot there. Your gun performance is not affected, but your peripherals are affected. And I think that that's true. If you're getting shot at, certainly, have your character's heartbeat raise, maybe affect how your motions move, but it doesn't necessarily make sense to me that where your reticle is aimed, the bullet just doesn't go there. That seems, if we're talking about a realistic experience, that seems very unrealistic to me. It seems very random, like I said before, and randomness, I think, is the opposite of skill. If you introduce randomness, it just makes it impossible for a skillful player to be effective. And it's not that I hate suppression, it's just that I think that it is not balanced in the way, and this is kind of another point I want to hit on, is that it affects specifically the recon kit or certain guns in the assault kit more so than others. Take something like a belt-fed LMG. Suppression, if you're getting suppressed, your aim kind of flies off, but for the most part, you can still perform your job adequately, because it doesn't really matter. Those belt-fed LMGs are not about precision and accuracy. They're more about just dumping a ton of rounds down range, and it's suppressing the enemy team. Contrast that with something like what I'm running with here, with the bolt-action M40, or even let's talk about like a G3A3, or maybe a Scar L, something with the lower fire rate assault rifles that are more about accuracy. You're not going to rely on fire rate like an AEK, but you're going to rely on putting shots in an accurate location. So it does not equally affect those classes in the same way. If the class that you run really dictates the level to which suppression is going to affect you positively or negatively. And I don't know. I don't like that. I don't think that is fair. And it would be one thing if they took that into account, and maybe like if they, made a way to balance guns out in certain ways. But I don't think that they take it into account. I think that it just is simply truth that the sniper rifles, one of the reasons the recon kit is underpowered, or I think it's pretty underpowered. One of the reasons for that is because of the heavy effect of suppression. And that forces snipers to back off. It encourages them to be more passive, less aggressive. And I think that's really annoying. So it's just I'm not going to say that it like breaks the game or it's not a horrible game mechanic, but I just let's think about it this way. When Battlefield 4 comes out, if they changed it really heavily, in terms of mechanics, not just like, when 2 patches ago, when it was horrible and when you were suppressed, you couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Sure, tweaking that down was definitely good, but I want a qualitative change, not just a quantitative change. I don't want them to change the amount of suppression. I want them to change the way that the mechanic works. Because I don't care for it. I don't think that it encourages skill. I think it affects classes in guns in imbalanced ways. And I can see how people would make an argument that it affects teamwork, but in the same token, I don't know if I'm buying that. I don't know if I'm gonna say, hey, you know what? I have seen games where suppression is used to a heavy extent, and somebody takes on the role. You know what? He's gonna suppress the enemy team, and because he filled that role, we had a really solid chance of winning. It's still about killing people, getting shots on target, and putting them down. And so, I don't know. It's a little bit of a rant here, but I would like to see it change because I don't care for the way that it affects the recon kit. And I know that I'm biased because there's a soft spot in my heart for these sniper rifles. But I think that the gunplay in Battlefield 3 is so good. I think that it's so good to the point where it doesn't need suppression. I think suppression takes away from the gun skill and the gun balance and the overall feel of how these guns work. Because I think it's a really impressive game in terms of the way that the gun mechanics operate. Maybe more impressive than any other first-person shooter I've ever tried. And so it's cool. But I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see how DICE continues to move in the future. I think in terms of where Battlefield 3 is at, I'm not really expecting any big change. Because like I said, I think for the way that suppression works, it works well right now. I just, like I said before, would like to see a qualitative change, that they actually change the mechanic itself. But yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. I definitely give DICE applause for introducing something new to the first-person shooter genre. There's never really been a game that deals with bullets flying over your head in the same manner, but I just don't necessarily think that they quite hit the nail on the head. So that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on suppression. If you think it's a good thing, it's a bad thing, if you want to refute any of my points, I'd really interested to hear some discussion below. So leave a comment, let me know, and we'll see you soon.